Good evening. Good evening. So, here we go. We are playing West Brom on Saturday. So, I thought there was no better use of my time, seeing that I made a complete hash of recording the game on Saturday to go through the previous game when we played West Brom and try to understand some of their tactics and styles of play, so we can absolutely dominate them on the pitch. So, real quick video on how they set up and everything that they're about, really. So the first thing is goalkeeper always plays left. Now we can either step in, we can either let them do this or stop them doing it. We'll talk about that on Saturday. The next picture is, if you look at how we're set up here, Fred, you just need to drop out of there. So the picture that I want to see is that the fullbacks are still stepping in. Hughes is putting pressure on. Jacko or Jamie's stopping the switch. And then Fred, you're stopping that long ball coming in. And Cutler, you're ready to pounce when that long ball comes in off that individual there. But this is a picture that we see 5 or 6 times during the game. So a very direct team. Look how the gaps open up on the pitch quite quickly. So they're really poor at retaining possession, and you'll see that in a few of the defensive phases. But in this picture here, just look how much space we're in. They've got a flat back four, so they play with 4 at the back, and it's really compact as well. So look at Hughesy in space. It's something that becomes really, really apparent during this game, just how much space Hughesy gets into. Okay, so second clip. This again is a very clear picture for tactics all throughout the game. So CDM, which may be Oliver or Cutler on the day, we need to just make sure that we're stopping this long ball coming over, because it's quite a regular picture that we see the ball coming into the striker here. Now the striker's strong, really, really strong, but hasn't necessarily got the pace to really give us that damage. And if you look at the gaps and the distances, we've got this covered here with our player. And I really like how many times we go back to the goalkeeper in these pictures. So good delaying tactics, and as I said, strikers got strength but not necessarily pace. So actually, if we stop them playing and stop that ball going into him, then we're going to be in for a good game. And this left winger, I believe his name's Ethan. I know some of you boys would have played against him. Quite a handy player, quite a direct, pacey player. So let him do what he wants on the ball. Let's dictate him into these wide channels like we do here. Max covering Freddie. Now, should have dealt with it better here. And then this is another sign from the day of them playing these long shots. So shots just inside the 18 or just outside the 18. So we'll talk about that in a moment, about how we can stop those coming in. I really like this picture, and actually I think we can break this line every single time, because they're playing with one presser, which is great. So if we can get them over here, this presser, and then can we switch the play to create this overload then with Cutler, Freddie Stevens, Foggy, Max and Hughesy. So we want to trick them so they all press into that zone, and then can we switch the play into the other zone. So we can have huge amounts of success. Mickey, I'm expecting sort of 3 out of 4 balls going straight into the wide centre backs in these situations on Saturday. I don't mind us breaking the line direct, but we need them to push onto us to allow us to play that ball direct. And again, if you look, they're really poor in transition. And I know we could say the same about us, but I know that we've improved significantly in those transitions in the last few weeks. But what's very clear in these are that they're very poor in the transition. So again here, we've got the one striker pressing the three. So they play a 4-2. So 4 defenders, 2 CDMs, 3 attacking midfielders, which are the wide strikers, and then a cam behind the centre forward, as we can see here. So left striker, right striker, cam, and the striker with 2 CDMs. Now, this just leaves us so much space because these CDMs, ironically, will just sit back a lot in the game. So, love the fact, I mean, look how much space we're getting on the board, because if you look at that line, on this pause point here, these two are basically covering the same ground. These 2 players are covering the same, well, these 4 really. They're all marking Cutler now. I know Cutler's a huge threat to the unicorn population anyway, but because he's got 4 players surrounding him, we can easily break the lines with either Harrison or Freddie Stevens in these pictures. So let's stay calm, let's break the lines. And what I really like about this is look how quickly we switch the play here to create that overload on the other side. So don't mind us going back to Mickey, and then all of a sudden we've now got this 3v1 overload in our advantage. So this is the picture that I'm really keen for us to see, and staying calm on the ball on Saturday. We break the line and we're able to escape. Just look how narrow this back 4 is though, and this picture with Hughesy is something that's so obvious to us. Look how narrow the defenders are, but how wide Hughesy is to create that space for us. Can we recognise it better on Saturday? Even though, what do I know about football? Because I'm pretty certain this went in over the line. Defo a goal, in my opinion. Next clip, the same picture. Which way do you think they're going to go? Yes, they always want to go to the left. And we do a really good job here of stopping that ball. So Freddie Stevens, you don't need to be in there. But Foggy's there to pick up the pieces, and Cutler's on the frog march to get that ball won as well. The picture that we want to see on Saturday is how can the CDM cover this space, and Foggy steps in, but Freddie Stevens stays out, or the right central midfielder stays out in this picture to allow the ball, and then we're on the attack here. Now, I haven't marked this up on here, but this is the play. This is the play that I want us to be working on in training. So the ball goes into Hughes' feet there, and Freddie Stevens breaks the line there. We will get so much success. In the second half, they were really shaky when we were in the box in these positions, in these 2 wide positions for the pullbacks. So let's try and recreate that picture as much as we can during the game. So central midfielders bounce with the wide strikers and they break the line. And that's the picture that we just saw then is another example of them going long. And actually, could the CDM be in a slightly better position? But love the fact that we go back to Mickey, and then we can break the line yet again and stay calm. So the pitch just opens up big time in these pictures. So let me just play that clip again. So the pitch just opens up. Look at all this space here, because they're basically 2 lines. They've got the attacking line and the defensive line. And our role on Saturday is just going to be, how can we break that line? How can our right centre and left centre midfielders stay a little bit higher to cause them a bit of trouble? This is one of their goals, and it's the same picture on all of their goals really. Shots from this area. So Max did really well to close that there. So we've got to have a line of engagement on Saturday. Beardsy, you're going to lead on this where that line is. So hopefully you can, you'll see these clips. That shot just took place slightly. I put slightly outside here, but I think it was just inside the 18-yard box. But Beardsy, your job on Saturday is to be really communicating where that line of engagement is. And then again, look how narrow this defensive line are. I think the defensive line is what we need to be exploiting better. Look at Hughesy and all that space over there. It's criminal, really. And we have to play around here instead of breaking the lines, which is a bit of a disappointment for me. But I know we've come so far since, I think this was November we played these. So those midfielders break that line, or the striker break that line, cause some trouble. We have to play around instead of breaking. And again, what do we see here? The picture of them going long to the striker. So can the CDM cover that space? And now we're just sort of recovering here. And I know we've come a long way since this game. And another long shot, which could have been prevented if we had that deep cover. Really like this picture. So again, because we've got huge amounts of space in the midfield, look how we're able to break that line. Something that I'm going to speak to Freddie, Harrison and the CDM, which is either Cutler or Oliver's, making that position his own, allowing Cutler to play at the back. So what I really like about this picture is that none of us are, it's probably an equilateral triangle. I'm sure you boys all know better than me. But look how offset we are. We're not symmetrical. Freddie's not in line with Harrison. Harrison's not in line with Freddie. And Cutler is being the deep option. So the fact that we're not symmetrical is the reason why we're able to break this line really, really well. So Cutler does the damage there, believe it or not, and that's what I'm loving about this team. Just look how much space Jamie creates himself here. So this is a really good picture for me that about us making our own space for ourselves, because that channel just opens up, and I think what I want to see on Saturday, and this is just a little bit of advice from Mickey really from the game on Saturday, is let's just test that keeper. He looks quite shaky, that the keeper does. Sort of, if you can remember, this keeper's the one that lies on the floor for about 10 seconds after he regains possession. And then he can't kick it that far either, hence why he has to play short to the left. So we don't have to retreat too far from his kicks. But also, let's just test him. What have we here? Okay, so an easy line break for them. Look how these four now. So they've gone one CDM and they're playing four across that central piece with this one target man. So one, I think our defenders are too deep. So can we bring that line up and Mickey sort of cover this space here? Because the midfield are out of position, this leads to defenders being deep. But no one's pressing or covering from this defensive line. So we now know that we want to dictate them out wide. So we want to stop those shots. We want to show them out wide. I think that was a left footer, wasn't it? Was that a left-footed shot? Yeah, left-footed shot. So looks like they've got some central midfielders with left feet. So let's just show them wide. We know that Mickey can save anything from when they're shooting in the wide channels. Let's keep them away from that central that central zone. And then the final one is just that picture that we'll be working on in training tomorrow night. Is how does so if we look at this picture. Sorry, I had a pause point. Here's one I made earlier. So this is the picture. Hughesy drops in here, and then Harrison continues his run. because Harrison's drawing out the attention of this central defender here, which is fantastic. We need to recognise this picture in the game. If we could get Harrison or Freddie Stevens on the ball here, Cammy Banks with Husey, Jacko or Jamie, and then the central midfielders break that final line. Really, really important. It's a play, it's a picture that I really want us to be purposeful with over the weekend. So, absolutely, we have the ability to probably score 5 or 6 past these guys. The most important thing for me on Saturday, though, is that we show improvement. We show improvement from, consistency, that we can play well for more than 1 week at a time. And secondly, we can play well against a team that know a bit more about us. This will be like the second or third team that we played before. So really, really important that we learn and we can get the better of them. Not talking about result, but we can get the better of them through these pictures that we've identified. Boys, I shall see you at training on Thursday. And if you're watching this after Thursday, make sure that you that you're a sponge to the info, and I'll see you on Saturday as well. Ciao for now.